Welcome to Satsang. A very happy Durgashtami to everybody. This very sacred day of worshipping the Mother Goddess. All of these days are sacred, but Durgashtami, as I was saying in the Arati, is especially powerful. And it's also the day, we didn't have time to go into it in the Arati, but it's also the day dedicated to the Mother Goddess in the form of Mahagauri, which is her luminous form of light. And it's such a beautiful message because it reminds us that that's the truth of who we are. Last night we celebrated her in her form of Ma Kali, that this fierce form that comes through with her weapons and cuts away all of the ego and all of the ignorance and all of the illusion, and just one fell swoop cuts that all away. And then tonight we have Mahagauri, which is essentially that which is left after the darkness of illusion has been cut away. Is that truth, the truth of the light. Because, you know, when people fear Ma Kali, it's always like, oh my God, what's she gonna do to me? Oh my God. She's not gonna do anything to you. Yeah, she's gonna wreak havoc on your ego, on your attachments, on your illusions. But ultimately, to you, all she's going to do is unveil you. And that's then today what we celebrate is essentially the unveiled self. When that darkness has been removed, when that veil has been removed, that's what Mahagauri then reminds us, is you are the luminous one. You are that light. You weren't the darkness. You've always been the light. And now that Mahakali removed that ignorance, removed that illusion, removed that attachment, now you get to live in the luminous light of who you are. So it's a very, very beautiful day, a day to remember that presence of the luminous divine is in all of us, whether we're in a female body or a male body, it doesn't matter. We all have the energies of feminine, the energies of masculine. So a very, very happy Durgashtami also to you all. And with that, we're going to try to close satsang a little bit early tonight so that everyone can have time to quickly have dinner and make it down for the Shabri Ram Leela, which we'll go down to on the banks of Ganga afterwards. So. There's a great question, by the way, about the spirituality of eating meat that keeps showing up every day, but I'm purposely saving that till tomorrow, which is World Vegetarianism Day. So we'll take that up tomorrow. I lost the love of my life to brain cancer. Am I holding her spirit back because sometimes I miss her hugs so much I cry? I know for a fact that she is still around me, but I just can't help but cry occasionally. Heather. Heather's the name of our sister who's asked this. If you love, you will grieve. It's a package deal. If you never grieve the loss of a love throughout your life, it means you haven't loved enough. Because things happen. People die. Or they leave you. Or they move away. It's what happens in life. Tragically, but it happens. If we're really loving, with open hearts, we're going to lose. We're going to lose people we love, some to death, some to what we would deem really bad decisions to leave us, others to just life circumstances. They move away, we can't hold on long distance for too long, etc. So the first question is, am I holding her back because I miss her too much? And this is a really deep question. On the one hand, once her soul has left the body, it's already on its next journey. All of the emotional attachment is a product of the mind, a product of the brain. Well, that's gone. It's burned or buried. So the way that we think of emotional attachment is no longer there once the person has passed on. However, there is a teaching that if you miss someone with such an extraordinary level of refusal to admit, refusal to acknowledge, refusal to let go, that on some kind of a soul level, yes, it does hold them back. That there's a soul connection. And that you can hold them back from moving smoothly onto their next path. But my feeling is that when you're already overcome with sadness and grief, the last thing you need is guilt also. So I would say, don't worry about holding that person back due to your sadness. Worry more about holding yourself back. Because we know it's harming you. And whether you believe in the idea of holding the soul back or not, we know that not aligning our minds and hearts with the truth of what is causes suffering. If it's winter time and I hate the winter and I only like the summer and I refuse to believe it's winter and I go out in my bikinis, I'm just going to get pneumonia and suffer. If I hate getting old and I refuse to get old and I pretend that I'm not getting old and I get all kinds of surgery and cosmetic treatment and whatnot, I'm just suffering. Because every day that I see another wrinkle or another gray hair or that I can't do what I could do 5 years ago, I'm miserable. Doesn't mean don't take care of yourself, doesn't mean don't stay strong, doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with dyeing your hair, but it just means that in any aspect of our life, when we are out of alignment with what is, and when we try to exert control over that which we have no control over, the seasons, the nature of nature, that which is created and sustained eventually dies. And you hope you get old and wrinkled, because if not, it means you died too young. But the more control we try to exert over that, the more we suffer. So trying to exert somehow control over someone who has left us, when we have no ability to exert that control, all of your grief is not going to bring them back. Even if you accept that you're holding their soul back in some way from going on, it's not like it's going to come back into its body. The body's been burned, or it's decaying in a coffin, or it's been eaten by worms. What's critical for us to do is to allow ourselves to move on. It doesn't mean we forget. It doesn't mean that we don't stop. It doesn't mean we stop loving. It doesn't mean that we're not sad. That grief and that sadness is a testament to how much you loved. It's beautiful. Never let anybody tell you, oh, get over it, stop crying. People will come up and try to they'll wipe your tears and tell you to stop crying or just get over it. That's belittling the strength of the connection you had. Be sad. Be sad as long as the sadness is real and present. But what happens with a lot of us is we get stuck in it. And we don't let ourselves move on. And by moving on, I don't mean forgetting. I don't mean letting it go. I just mean the acknowledgement that like the earth keeps turning on its axis, like it keeps rotating around the sun, in the same way, we will start to put one foot in front of the other again. We will start to go through our daily hours again. We'll be able to eat. We'll be able to sleep. We'll be able to enjoy the smell of a flower, the sound of music. We'll be able to laugh. We'll be able to enjoy a sunset. Slowly, 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 slowly. And that's what I mean by moving on. And that's critical. Because life does move on. And if we don't, we are literally keeping ourselves out of alignment with the flow of truth. Time keeps going forward. If we are stuck, we are out of alignment. So, of course, be sad. Cry occasionally. Absolutely. Absolutely cry occasionally. Cry more than occasionally. Cry whenever you feel like crying. Nothing wrong with crying. It's beautiful. Don't let anybody make you feel guilty. Don't let anybody tell you, oh, you gotta get over it. Let it go. But as you allow yourself to cry, also allow yourself to heal, because that's also natural. The tears are natural and the healing is natural. First, there will be nothing but tears and no healing. Then there'll be a long period of time where they overlap. There's still tears and healing is happening. And then as time goes by, there will be much more healing and many fewer tears. But chances are there will always be tears on some level. And again, that's beautiful. It's beautiful to honor that memory with your sadness. And honor the sunrise every day. Honor the flow of the universe. Honor your life that is still here by allowing yourself to put one foot in front of the other, to laugh, to enjoy a sunset, to keep living. Because soon you're going to be grieving the end of your own life. And whether it's a month from now or 70 years from now, it's going to feel way too soon. And so before that happens, make sure that you don't stop living just because someone else has. Keep living. But the sadness is beautiful. Allow it. And don't worry. Your guilt is worse, much worse than the tears. Don't worry. Her soul is going to move in the way it needs to. And you just take care of your soul and your life path. Beautiful question. Other questions that anyone here? Yes, of course. Come. There's a mic right there. Namaste.
My name is Alexandra. I'm from Siberia.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Maybe closer?
No, we're good.
Okay, so imagine your grand-grandmother was in a very unhappy marriage with physical abuse and emotional abuse. The same happened to your grandmother. The same happens to your mother. And my question is how to cope with a generation pattern or karma, let's say, with unhappy marriages. And not just for yourself. If it's kind of my package deal, I'm going to live it through. But how not to pass it to the next generations?
Beautiful question. This is what we speak about as generational trauma. It's something that a few decades ago, people probably would have said, oh, doesn't really happen, or oh, it must happen only because, you see it in your life and then you reenact the pattern. But now we know that there's actually a lot deeper way that these things happen. The whole science of epigenetics tells us how actually we carry that trauma. Even if your mother did not have that marriage, she would still carry, and you would still carry, some of that trauma from your great-grandmother. When we carry that trauma, the way that the world works is we keep having situations, patterns in our life that we need to heal. And typically it happens during just the course of one life. So for example, when I was very young, I was abandoned. Not like left on the street corner, but my biological father, when I was 8, called and said, I never want to see you again. It was traumatic, obviously. I was 8. For much of my young life, before I came to India, in my relationships, I created patterns of being with people who would leave me, so that on a psychological level, I would have to look at it, and it wasn't just, oh, that happened when I was 8, but it actually was, oh, that's happening now when I'm 16, or oh, that's happening now when I'm 18, or that's happening now when I'm 20, and it's there. And so you have to work with it. And even when I wasn't being left, I kept having patterns of being afraid I would be left. Fear every minute, every moment. Are you going to come home? The universe sends us patterns, or rather the universe sends us experiences, so that we have to face our own challenges, our own suffering, in some of our cases, trauma, so that we can heal it. That is the point. If I only had been abandoned at 8, it's very possible that I could have gone through my life never looking at it, because it wouldn't have been a source of present-day suffering. In other words, who's got the time? Life is busy. Right? Whether you're a teenager in your 20s or whatever decade you happen to be in, life is busy. Like, who's going to stop and say, oh, let me spend some time looking at what happened when I was 8. But when you recreate it, and now it's up, now it's like the thing in your life today, because, hey, this boyfriend left you. Well, now you're dealing with it. And it's the universe's way of making you deal with it. Because then you're dealing not only with the guy who left you today, but if you're doing the work correctly and deeply, and ideally with someone who's an expert, spiritually, psychologically, emotionally, to help you through, not only are you healing the breakup of today's boyfriend or husband or best friend, but you're actually healing the trauma of childhood. That's the point. That's why we keep having these situations until we can heal them. Now, you've raised a very interesting issue. Generational. The core original trauma is not yours, it was your great-grandmother's. But in her lifetime, she never actually dealt with it and healed it. She suffered through it. Then her daughter, your grandmother, took it on. The pattern arose. She also didn't heal it, but she suffered with it. Your mother took on the pattern. It arose. I don't know whether she's worked with it to heal it or she's just suffered from it. But you now have a very special opportunity. And the opportunity is for you, and it is for the women of your family, for your ancestors, to heal this, to actually heal it, to ensure that you don't get into an abusive situation. The instinct will be there. There will be moments where you will find yourself with someone and you think, oh my God, look at this. Look how I am just about to let this happen to me. And don't feel badly about it. Just be fascinated by it, by how you're carrying your great-grandmother's trauma. But don't give in to it. There's beautiful spiritual work that can be done of letting go of these things as you are here on the banks of Ganga. Let it go. Sit on the banks of the river. Take water in your hands. Offer that for your great-grandmother, for your grandmother, for your mother. Help set them free. Let go of that trauma, because chances are your great-grandmother didn't have a choice. Chances are at that time in that culture, there was nothing she could do. Even if she ran away, even if she told people. Sadly, in the not too distant history, women were just told to deal with it. They were told it was their fault. Give him more sex, he'll stop beating with you. Serve him better food, he'll stop beating with you. Be nicer, he'll stop beating you. Dress prettier, don't smile at other men, he'll stop beating you. We were told this. But now, by God's grace, our world has evolved into a much clearer, still not 100% perfect, but we're getting a lot clearer around culpability and responsibility and accountability. And you are now in a place where you are free to walk away, to stand up, to be strong, to say no, to have a community that will support you. Make use of that. And make use of it in honor of and in celebration of your ancestors. Yeah, beautiful. Yes.
Pranam Sadhviji. My name is Ritu, and I have two things to say. I was reading your book From Hollywood to Himalayas. In the chapter Satsang, you have written that you created so much space within yourself that which led divine to flow through you. So I want you to explain a little more on this, like how instantly you created so much space in yourself, and how can I do the same with myself?
Beautiful.
And second thing, last year I visited Rishikesh. I had a very beautiful and grounded experience. And in those moments of stillness, something happened. This book happened. I want to gift you. Please accept.
Sure. I'll take it after the satsang. Sure. Beautiful. So she's asking about a really divine phenomenon that I spoke about in my memoir, Hollywood to the Himalayas, or the Himalayas as we say. in which the first time that I actually gave satsang, I wasn't planning on giving satsang. I was sitting with my guru, Pujya Swamiji, and someone had asked him a question. And he said, Sadhviji. And I thought that it was Sadhviji Kama, and that it was going to be followed by some other instruction. Sadhviji, go and do this. Sadhviji, do this. And I was waiting for the rest of the instruction. And I look over, and he's like this. And I realized that it was actually Sadhviji, period, and that the instruction was basically, you answer this question. And the question itself was not particularly difficult, but if you've never done unprepared public speaking, it's a very interesting challenge. I was already doing a lot of public speaking that was prepared. We had traveled all over the world on behalf of the Encyclopedia of Hinduism project. I was traveling in the US talking about Sanatan Dharma and our culture and spirituality. But these were all situations where I knew, oh, we're going to have this event. The theme of this event is this. I'm going to have this amount of time to talk about this subject. And so even though I never read a speech, I had time to kind of plan and prepare, like what was I going to talk about and what were my points, and allow it to, hang out in my mind for a while. The in-the-momentness is a very different experience. And so when I realized that he was asking me to do it, originally I approached it the same way that I would if I had a public speaking thing to do. And I closed my eyes, and I tried to arrange the points in my mind of what I would say. And the problem is, it's very difficult to do that immediately. Like, by God's grace, I never needed that much time, and there were certainly days in which we'd be on a stage and he'd turn to me or send someone with a message to me that, like, hey, you're going to have to speak in this program also. But I always had 10 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour minimum to kind of get my thoughts in order. And what I hadn't realized in advance was that 15 seconds was really not enough time to get my thoughts in order. And trying to do that just created so much stress and panic in me that I actually blanked out completely, and I couldn't think of anything to say. And in that panic, I realized I can't do this. Like, I now can't even think of one thing to say. Like, every idea that I had has just vanished from my mind in this stress. And what I did was, and this is the aspect of creating space, her question was that I had spoken about how I created space through which the words flowed. And she's asked, how did you create that space? So it happened spontaneously. What I did was, once I realized I can't do this, mujhme hai nahi, it is not in me, I literally, in my mind, I bowed down to Swamiji in my mind. And I literally said to him in my mind, I am so sorry. I can't do it. It is not in me. And when you bow, you literally create space. And as I bowed in my mind, very low, if I bow that low here, I'll somersault off this couch, but in my mind, I literally bowed onto the ground. And in the doing of that, It was a literal space that was created, like where my body used to be, it's no longer there because now I've bowed. But it was much more than that. It was an energetic space of an awareness that the answer is not in me. An openness to being empty. And that was exactly where I was. I was just fully prepared to open my eyes and sit in the complete shame in front of all of these people who were expecting something to come out of my mouth, and to just sit in the shame of, I can't do it. It's not in me. And as I did that, and I opened my mouth to just sigh or exhale or whatever, the words started to flow. And that's what I speak about in the book. The creation of space it's physical. It's one of the reasons that we bow. It reminds us. When we bow before the divine, we bow before our parents, we bow before our gurus. That act of bowing literally teaches us to get out of the way. In most circumstances, it is our own refusal to get out of the way that prevents the flow of the divine. And it's certainly true about any creative process, any process that requires a connection to the divine flow. The more your mind is there, the less you can do it. It's got to be in flow. You got to get the mind out. The second piece is the very deep spiritual awareness. It's not in me. And that's the space. And to this day, when I begin satsang, it is an offering, a bowing to the divine of, let me get out of the way so that that which needs to be spoken can flow through. If I were given all of these questions in advance and I came in with prepared answers, they wouldn't have that type of an impact. They'd be good. I could prepare a good speech and work on it and make some points, and, you know, some people might even say, oh, that was good. But it wouldn't have the power of the depth of connection and transformation that arises from being in flow. And so, on a daily level, my practice is about getting out of the way. It's my daily prayer to the divine, oh God, empty me. Literally, those are the words that come out of my mouth every day as I bow. Oh God, empty me. Empty me of everything I think I know. Empty me. Because it has become so clear to me over the years that what I think I know, who I think I am, is actually the greatest obstacle to real wisdom, real unfolding, real becoming, real blossoming. You don't have to make yourself. You have to stop suffocating yourself. So just getting out of the way. And it happens. Whatever is meant to happen. Beautiful. I'll take it after satsang. Yeah. And we'll take this as the last question this evening. Yes.
Pranam. Can I speak in Hindi?
Of course.
हाँ मैम, हम जब आपसे सब सुनते हैं ना,
I'll translate for those of you who don't understand. Don't worry. Yes.
हाँ हमें लगता है कि ये सब ठीक है, सही है, हम अपने जीवन में ये सब अपने के साथ ऐसा करेंगे, लेकिन फिर वही बात हो जाता है, हम जब पुराने फील्ड में जाते हैं वापस वही काम पे जाते हैं, वही लोग से मिलते हैं, वही बात हमें फिर से इफेक्ट करता है. इसे कैसे ओवरकम करें?
Great question. She said, you know, when I listen to you, I feel like, oh, whatever you're saying is right and beautiful and wonderful, and yes, I will do it like that from now on. And then I go back, and I get back into the same work and back into the same habits, and I start having the same thoughts and acting in the same way again, and how not to make that happen. This is where, in our spiritual tradition, we're given many very important aspects, but two of them go together. Abhyasa and Vairagya. Abhyasa is practice. Abhyas karo. This is where all of the sages and the saints and the gurus and the yogis have told us abhyas karo, practice. Sadhana, translated in English, is spiritual practice. It's not sit down and try to meditate, and if it doesn't happen, forget it, go play baseball. Doesn't happen? Sit longer. Keep sitting, sit again in the evening, sit again tomorrow morning, sit again tomorrow evening. Keep doing it. Abhyas karo. Your mind wanders, bring it back. It wanders, bring it back. Throughout everything in our life, we understand that we need to practice. You would never say, I want to be a professional pianist, but I'm just going to sit down and make it happen. You understand? I have to practice. I have to dedicate time to it. I want to be a basketball player. I want to be a musician. I want to be a scientist. Well, तो समय तो देना पड़ता, अभ्यास तो करना है. कोई भी फील्ड में कुछ अपने आप ऐसे नहीं होता है. अभ्यास करना है. जो भी लक्ष्य है अपना, जब तक अभ्यास नहीं करेंगे तो कुछ नहीं होगा. इसलिए भगवान कृष्ण ने भी कहा अभ्यास करो, अभ्यास करो. Second, vairagya. Vairagya is translated as non-attachment. I have a lot of thoughts about that translation that I'm not going to go into right here because it's not specifically relevant. But for the sake of this discussion, what it means is we have to allow ourselves to be detached from the former way of doing things in order to embrace a new way. If you get in an airplane, but you hang your feet out the door and you refuse to bring your feet into the airplane, and they cannot close the door, they will not be able to take off, or you will not be able to go anywhere. You have to detach yourself from where you are to get anywhere new. Watch a caterpillar walk. It picks up its back legs. Then its front legs can move. If its back legs are still glued in one place, its front legs can't go to a new place. अगर आप यहाँ आएंगे, आप कहाँ से हैं? It's okay, don't worry about it. अगर आप यहाँ आएंगे और आप अपने घर को छोड़ने के लिए तैयार नहीं है, तो यहाँ पहुँच नहीं सकते. ना बस में बैठ सकोगे, ना ट्रेन में बैठ सकोगे, ना प्लेन में बैठ सकोगे. जब तक अपने घर को छोड़ने के लिए तैयार ना हो, तो कहीं नहीं जाएंगे. ठीक इसी तरह से, हाँ, एक सेकंड में कंटिन्यू करूँ क्योंकि फिर समाप्त करना पड़ेगा. रहने दो भैया. जब तक आप अपनी आदतों को, अपनी हैबिट्स को, अपने विचारों को छोड़ने के लिए तैयार नहीं होंगे, you'll never be able to start a new way of being if you're not prepared to let go of the old way. And this is where sanskaras play a big role. We speak about our Purani sanskaras. Sanskaras are basically like impressions in our psyche. Neurologically, we speak about them as neurological patterns or habits of being. They're there. But if we're not able to let them go, we're not going to be able to create new habits. So I'm not saying it's easy. I know it's a challenge. But this is where the abhyas is so important. Keep practicing, keep working on it. Every time one of those old thoughts arises, old patterns arise, just immediately bring it into the new one. The moment you realize you've started, mid-sentence, you're yelling at somebody, mid-sentence, just say anubhav aa jaye, wahi hi ruk jao. Sentence ke beech mein ho. The moment you catch it, stop and do it a new way. And then slowly, 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 the new way will become your way of being. It's like any addiction. You give up smoking, you give up drinking, you give up eating chocolate cake after every meal. In the beginning, it's hard because you're left with this kind of emptiness. But slowly, slowly, you develop new habits. Oh, now after eating, instead of having a cigarette, I go for a walk. New habit. Used to be mind would say, oh, cigarette. Now mind says walk. But it takes a while. Oh, instead of having a beer with my dinner, now I'm going to have orange juice with dinner, or whatever it may be. In the beginning, every time you sit for a meal, man kehte, I want to have this beer. But you give it orange juice instead of beer enough meals in a row, eventually it'll get in that habit. But it takes a while. It's the same way with our mental habits. Keep working, keep working, keep working. Abhyas karo. Ho jayega. Pakka. Last important piece is samaj. Your community, your sangha. If you are surrounded by people who are reinforcing the old habits, it's going to be a lot harder to change. If I want to stop smoking, and I keep going out for meals only with all of my friends who smoke, it's going to be really hard to stop having that cigarette after my meal. And this is why we emphasize the importance of Sangha, the importance of our spiritual community. Surround yourself with people who are on a spiritual path. Beautiful. Have a beautiful rest of your evening, a beautiful morning and day to our family joining from all over the world. I hope that you will all join us for the Shabri Ram Leela. It's a beautiful drama performance of the Ramayana that's going to take place over the next 3 nights. And by the way, for those of you joining online, it will be live streamed as well, so don't worry. It'll be taking place for the next 3 nights from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. for 2 hours each night, from artists from all over the country, particularly from tribal areas. So have a quick dinner, or for those of you who don't eat dinner, either way. And then come to the banks of Ganga. It's, if you go to where we have Ganga Arati, and you're facing the river, you're facing Shiva, it's to your left. There's a flat platform just to our left, and it's right there. You'll see it's a huge covered auditorium, kind of, the big stage, and it's in there. Everybody's welcome. It's free, of course. And if you're not there at 8 o'clock sharp and you're there a few minutes later, do not worry. Doors don't close. Just come in as soon as you can get there.